Hey guys, most welcome to my YouTube channel, and at the end of the video don't forget to click the subscribe bell as well as turning on the notification bell to keep updated. Today I have really amazing topic that's going to bring something new in your mind. So let's get started. Um, when we're talking about keloids, what's a keloids? That's one of the major topic that we're going to talk about. So a keloid is a red scar after an injury has healed, right? So uh, it's caused by an excess of proteins, collagen in the skin during healing, right? So we need collagen for the body for as one of the protein which is responsible for healing or wound healing. But when it's really excessive, it means it's going to bring a lot of complication in our body, right? However, keloid often a lumpy or a rigid, all right? And the scar rise after an injury or condition has healed, such as surgical incision. Some people they have been to hospital whereby they were operated. They're at the point where they are operating the form a scar at the point, and now that's where now the fat now start building up, and instead the fats were used. I mean the protein were used for healing the wound, but let's get worried. It started now turning to bad. It started now to getting more produced than required. Then the body, what happened is it's going to form something like a lump, right? It's going to form something like a lump. Have you ever encountered in looking at some of the people, they have maybe something like here, maybe they were heated or traumatized, they had maybe a trauma, maybe a road accident or something like that to hit them. Then something had to form something like a scar. Then it start forming until to make a better big one. I hope you have ever seen those people having such condition. So if you are one of them, you have to understand this is going to be really amazing, and don't skip any point. So let's continue, guys. So what is a diagnosis? Alright, let's say about diagnosis. How can you know that I'm having keloids? Keloids, you can know that I'm having a keloids. Just for example, this is a self-diagnosable, right? This is a self-diagnosable. We're talking. You can see. It's on the body, alright? It's manifested outside the body. You can see that by now I have a keloid. It's something like it's swelling. It's big, right? Maybe you had to encounter with some of the trauma, maybe on the road, maybe somewhere where you were moving, or avoid places that have to bring this condition. So you have to understand this. So another point, you have to do lab tests. It's really important. Sometimes what happens is you have to be thinking like, what's it? Is it a cyst? Is it what? You don't even try. You don't even know. But how can you know? So easy, my friend. You have just to do lab testing. Sometimes you have to do imaging, but not much required or necessary. But the most one is lab test, because you're going to recognize either it's a cyst, because cyst sometimes also form something like a lump, something form a little big. But the difference between a cyst and the keloids is that a keloid is something like a reed, while a cyst, when you try to palpate, is something like it goes inside, right? Than a keloid. A keloid is something rigid, a little bit rigid. When you try to press it like this, it seems like it's a little bit hard, right? So I hope you have ever seen those people having this condition. And if you are one of the people who are having this condition, you have to understand this. So chronic can last for a year or be lifelong. Sometimes people they ask a question to say, "Oh, I feel like in this condition, when shall it go and how and what can I do?" All those question people they ask, right? So you have to understand that sometimes it can be sometimes can last for a year, sometimes it can be a lifelong, with meaning that you can stay with it forever. So let's look at some of the causes, guys. Causes of keloids: protein found all throughout the body is a useful for wound healing. But as I earlier said, this is whereby now protein is really necessary for us for wound healing. But now, if it, for example, you had a trauma whereby you had a wound, now it get healed, now it remains a scar. Now, because there's excessive production of the collagen or the proteins, it means it's going to be accumulating at the point where it was used for healing and later on forming the lump or something rigid on that point, right? So you have to understand that too much also protein is not important in our body. Likewise, sometimes it can even cause heart problems. But here we are looking at keloids, whereby if we are talking about heart problems, you find that the fats or the energy which maybe they can be used, they start accumulating in the lumen of the heart, causing the heart failure. For example, sometimes the blood flowing is going to be disturbed, which results to heart failure. So, but here we are looking at the keloids as one of the conditions which is caused by the excessive protein sometimes. So let's move on. Um, Additionally, keloids may be triggered by any sort of skin injury. As I said, you have to have a skin injury. You can have an insect bite. An insect can bite you, and you have to feel like something is swelling. And later on, you find that it starts getting big until to the point that you can't control it. An injection, some people when they get injected, they swell, the body swell, and that swelling never come back to the normal state, and you find that on that point it forms something like a bump, which whereby we call it now, it tends to be keloids, whereby it don't come back to its normal state, which is going to be like a tumor. All right. So sometimes it can be a body piercing. Sometimes someone had just maybe to pierce the skin of you, and this you will find that it create a problem because of the after the healing, it create a scar on that point. Now it start building up until it form a something, a bump or a rigid something like on your body and the bends. Sometimes it can be one of the causes. Sometimes maybe you were burned by something like hot water, whatsoever different thing that can burn your body, and you gonna find that on the skin it forms up a like swelling, and that is causing some of the complications. And another point is hair removal and even scratches and bumps. Sometimes some people sometimes they just develop bumps on their skin, and that you find that it turns into a condition which is known as the keloids. So all right guys, some people they have been asking to say, do keloids go away, or maybe I can stay with it for a rest of my life? Just as I earlier said, to say that keloids sometimes can last for a year, sometimes can be a long life, a long life, meaning that you can live with it forever, so long it don't cause some of the harms. For example, to honestly speaking, they don't go away, right? No matter what you can do, sometime, all right? If the may natural is too rare, but the real is that keloids is really hard for them to go just naturally without any medication or attending health services. All right, so it carries a risk of making a keloids worse, right? So, and however, you may maybe you may do the following to prevent the keloids during wound healing process. So let's get to this point where you can help yourself to the point that you can try to prevent it from coming. Maybe you were traumatized during the process when it's healing. You have to do this. It's going to help you. It's going to make you maybe a better. If you are not affected with it, it means this is going to be a best for you. So silicone sheet or gel to increase hydration to the wound and then decreasing the risk of keloids. This will be so really amazing if you try to do this. another point is another point that you have to do is uh, using what we call now a gel, as I say, is a silicone, a gel, or maybe a silicone sheet, which is going to increase the hydration to the wound and then decreasing the risk of keloids. So as I just said, don't forget to click the subscribe bell as well as notification bell to keep updated. I'm really glad. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.